right. Good evening. This is the Town of Eastchester Planning Board meeting of Thursday, February 22nd,
25th.
2021. Let's do the roll call. Mr. Phil Nemisek.
Present.
Mr. Mark Cunningham.
Present.
Louis Campana.
Present.
And Jim Bonanno's here. We start doing things. We're going to approve minutes from at the top of the meeting, so let's do that right now. The first one is October 22nd, 2020. All of us can make a vote on that, so I make a motion to approve the minutes of October 22nd, 2020.
Yeah, as subject to the comments that I provided to Margaret to pass on to Dina. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Similarly, make a motion to approve the minutes of December 3rd, 2020. This is just Phil, Louis, and myself, subject, of course, to Phil's comments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the last one, I think we're going to be all caught up then. January 28th, 2021. All of us, subject to Phil's comments. Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Let's see. So we have one application that has been adjourned, and that's 19-42 5 Ray Place. Before we start this public hearing, there's a few things I have to say about how we're going to do this. So first item on how to participate is all applications and on the agenda have been noticed as public hearings. The order is going to be the applicant and board members will speak first, and then we'll open it to public hearing. As far as the public goes, if you'd like to make a comment, please use the raise feature on Zoom or *9 on your phone if you're calling from a phone. Mr. Tedesco will acknowledge you and invite you to speak then. Please unmute your mic and state your name and address when you begin. Okay, so let's see the applications we have now, just so everyone knows in case they don't have the agenda. The first one is 291 Main Street. The second is Kids Corner, 189 Brook Street. And then we have new applications. The first one is ICC/Arch Care at 265 White Plains Road. The next is 109 North Road, followed by 50 Lake Shore Drive. Then we'll do 663 White Plains Road, and the last application for tonight is 10 Ridge Street. So let's start with the first one, which is presently an open public hearing, and that is application 20-08291 Main Street.
So, Louis, do you have anyone else joining you?
I believe Michael Stein from Hudson Engineers is here, and I don't see, let me just check quickly. Mark Benedict, the landscape designer, should be joining. If not,
I don't see him here, and I don't see Michael.
Mike Stein, yeah, I just saw him.
In the attendees group, I see an MS, and he's got his hand up.
Oh, okay. Where is he here?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on one second. Sorry. Oh, there he is. How do you end up at the top there?
He must know people.
They're supposed to be in alphabetical order. Okay.
Good evening.
Good
Hi,
evening.
Mike.
Hi. I'm always at the top.
Yeah, I don't know how you work that out.
Okay. So, good evening, Chair, members of the board. My name is Louis Campana. I'm the architect for the mixed-use development at 291 Main Street. It's been quite some time, so I will give a brief recap of the project, and then we'll go into some new items that were brought about by the ARB, which we'll discuss. The site is located in the RB zone, directly adjacent to a residential zone, the R3 zone, and is existing on site or situated on site, and is an existing legally dimensionally non-conforming one-story brick building, which was constructed in 1987. We're proposing to renovate the existing building and convert it into office space for the owner's business, and construct 2 stories of residential units above. Those 2 stories will consist of five residential units. We'll also be, and I'll just share my screen, we'll also be making improvements to the site as well. the civil engineer, Mike Stein, will touch on this as well, but I'll just go through it quickly. We will be adding landscape buffers around the existing parking lot. I'll be reconfiguring the parking spaces. We are introducing landscape lighting for the parking lot as well and around the building. And we're proposing a perimeter fence along the western property line and the northerly property line with a gate towards the front near Main Street. In July 2020, we were referred by this board to the zoning board and made our presentation, at which time all nine requested variances were granted. Those consisted of side yard setbacks, front yard setback, landscape buffer, the number of parking spots, and the setback from the rear property line to the parking area. Last month, we attended an ARB meeting, which was very positive. We received good feedback, and there were a few comments that the board had when deferring us back to the planning board for final review. I'd like to review some of those now, unless there's any questions that you have from the last time we met. One of the comments that the ARB brought up was the location of the garbage and recycling. Their comment was mostly geared towards the garbage location and its proximity, and I'll zoom in here, and its proximity to the rear entrance of this building, which would be used for a primary entrance for the residents of the second floor. We had here garbage and recycling previously, and what we decided to do was maintain the recycling in this location, but relocate the garbage. And because this is a very tight site, the only real way to do that without removing parking spaces and requiring additional variances was to push that into the footprint of the building. So I'll just go to the floor plan so we can see this. This is the back corner that we were just looking at this on site. So in order to address this, I had to reconfigure the stair and the elevator. And what that allowed me to do was to create a space beneath the stair, right, which would be accessed from the exterior. You can see here we have three garbage carts. Okay, those garbage carts equate to 18 or can hold up to 1,800 pounds of waste. And the reason why I decided to use carts is because you can see where it's located. They have wheels, so they would be able to roll the carts alongside the building through the gate and to the private garbage pickup at the street, or they can roll it through the parking lot to the cart as well. The recycling would consist of 2 Suncast sheds, which can hold 2 to 3 garbage containers. These fit up to 70 cubic feet apiece. The private garbage pickup would occur twice a week. I think what we've accommodated for is ample for the load of the building. One of the other comments that the ARB had was, go here, was the clock that we had discussed placing on the building's front facade. And trying to go to the actual drawing, bear with me. So what we're proposing is a skeletal clock with raised Roman numerals, and the dials of the clock will be backlit. This has a mechanism behind it, which is hardwired into the building, into a closet where it is automated and can be adjusted from a remote location. So this way, roof access isn't necessary to change the time, say daylight savings time. I think there's a close-up elevation of it where I can show you. Yeah, here it is. So this is how it sits. It's a 42-inch diameter, and this is the actual size and its location. The mechanism goes through the brick, and there's a mechanism on the back side, and then it will be wired down into the building. One of the other comments that the ARB had was a landscape plan, and they just there was a requirement to have it stamped by a landscape architect, which we've done and submitted to the board for review. There, in terms of the
Louis, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
What was the comment on the clock by the ARB?
They want us to show it. We had discussed it, and they want us to show it. So this is what, yes, exactly. Okay. So we spoke about either a clock or branding of BKB on the building. We chose to do that.
No, I like the clock.
So do I. The clock is going to be a nice touch. Thank you. Where was I here? I updated the elevations to show a bit more of coloration in terms of the panels. Before, they just weren't hatched in the right color. So I've done that. And there was another comment regarding, I have it written down. Hold on.
Is there a color elevation, Mr. Campana?
Yeah, the rendering.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Back to that.
Yeah. There was another comment about actually showing the signage on the awnings, but we will have to return and go back to the sign and awning review board to discuss that. So we've left that out now, but we've incorporated this because it's part of the architecture of the building. We've put together a landscape lighting plan, which is here. And what we're doing around the perimeter of the parking area in the landscape buffers, incorporating these path lights. So it's it's a dim throw of light, which would give this area a nice glow in the evening. We have 2 post lights, which are located in the back corner here. We did receive comments earlier today regarding the post lights and showing a detail of how that would be the foundation and how it's braced to the top of the foundation there. Currently today, these are 2 existing that are there now, but we will be replacing those. And we will also generate details for the building department review if the board is okay with that. Along the ramp here, which comes down from the sidewalk to the rear entrance, we're incorporating step lights, which you can see right here. They'll be inside the brick veneer. And then there's a series of trees around the property, which we will be uplighting with this fixture here. It's a decorative light. And this is the parking, the post light here. And again, along the perimeter of the building itself and on the second floor, we have these wall sconces right here from Restoration Hardware. And those you can see in the rendering where they're located.
They'll be on a timer, all of those lights?
Yes, they would be on timers, correct.
Louis, that new upper facade is all brick?
It's all brick, yes. So we have a modular brick veneer on the first floor, which is existing.
Right.
We'll be using that same brick veneer on the second and third floor. We're also going to be incorporating some of the existing detailing, which you see on the existing building. For instance, we have this double soldier course, which you can see right here at the parapet. We're going to be recalling that and using it above some of the windows that you see along the facade. There is a cast stone coping with a step detail, a rectangular step detail, which will cap these parapets at the terrace down below. Black iron railings, again with rectilinear and square profiles. Around the patio doors and Juliet balconies, we're incorporating this brick step detail to give the facade some dimension and shadow line. I have a photograph of that you can see as well.
That's a nice detail. And below the little balcony, is that a panel?
This is a panel, a PVC panel, which would be
PVC,
painted
okay.
Farrow ball black, and then that same Farrow ball black will be consistent with the awnings and the federal cornice that we're introducing along the parapet at the top of the building.
That's masonry or EIFS? What is that? Or is that?
This will be PVC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And
So
then
yes. It's laid up brick or it's brick panels?
It's real brick veneer.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, real brick veneer.
And what's backing up, studs or?
Yep, studs. Yes.
Very nice.
And then finally, we have copper leaders and gutter boxes, which will be used for the roof drainage. And this is depicting the actual landscaping that we're proposing. I don't believe the landscape architect is here, but this would be a short a boxwood hedge with intermittent arborvitae. In between, we would have limelight hydrangea wrapping the building. I think the coloration complements the building well. And then and then here we have hornbeams. And Margaret, correct me if I'm wrong. I think the term is fastigiate. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Mm-hmm.
The species of the plant?
Yeah, it's the upright form. So yeah, fastigiata.
Correct. It's the shape, yes. And then that's along the back, along the parking lot at Hall Avenue. We're introducing Yoshino cherry trees, which have a very early, beautiful bloom in the spring. This is depicted here. And then again, we would have low planting and hydrangea beneath those. These are the trees, the hornbeams and the Yoshino cherries that will be uplit along the street. And believe that's it for the architecture. I do have the landscape plan that we can look at if you want to, just so you can see what's going on in the parking lot.
Before you go, I had a couple of questions. Just in general, how do you clean this? I mean, is there a regular maintenance program to clean white brick, or you clean it when it starts looking non-white? I guess that's up to the owner, right?
So we're using Aroma. It's called Roma Bio. It's a paint specifically made for a masonry surface. It does have a 20-year warranty on it, and it would certainly, I would believe, just like I guess the building right across the street, which is the backside of Mavis. That's also it's a painted brick, which isn't white, but it looks like it does pretty. It stands up pretty well in terms of how long it's been there. But I'm sure that there will be some sort of a maintenance plan for cleaning,
because it's beautiful. And then the only other questions, I had a question. Could you go back to the site plan?
Sure.
Because I just wanted to ask you a couple of things. I didn't want to interrupt you while you were.
No problem.
Yeah, that's fine. So you said the garbage. Where's the garbage picked up now? Currently.
So the garbage, there was. I mean, it hasn't been occupied in some time, and I believe there's a dumpster that was sitting just like right in this corner. So the existing site as it stands today, this parking spot is not there. There's only 10 spots on site. So this spot right here was actually used for the garbage. So this is where it's picked up.
Your refuse room is just downscreen of where your cursor right there. So you have to go out.
Yeah.
You have to go out to Main Street. You really can't get anything.
I think, and that's the reason why I selected the rolling garbage carts, because I just think it would be easier to use and to roll this way and pick up on the street, just like most of these buildings are picked up as well.
It would sort of be cool if it wasn't in the front of your building. It was like in the back, but there's no way to accomplish that, right?
Right. It would require a variance. Yeah.
Oh, I see. And then the only other thing I was going to ask is the lights around the perimeter that you have. Those are the ones that are down lights, right?
So let's go to the plan here. Yes, that's right. So these are spaced at 10 feet on center. And yes, these are downlights. They're path lights here, so it's just a glow.
Right, and they're sort of light. What are the ones? What's the ones below? Where are they used? The LEDs on the same screen? Are those
here?
Are those part of your plan, or that's just from the cut sheet?
So that's right here and right here. And that's where they currently exist today. We're going to replace those.
Height's going to be the same as what's there?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. That's very nice. I like the time you spent with the lighting. It's sort of important. It makes it sort of pleasant rather than dark.
It adds a lot to the charm of the building, especially in the evening. I think it was important. Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't a typical building. Between the landscaping and the architecture and the lighting, it's pretty. It's definitely going to make that corner a lot more attractive.
I drive by it all the time, and I visualize it being constructed. So,
yeah, it's definitely going to add to that part of town over there. All right, enough.
Okay.
Oh, and the light and the clock, though, you said those are illuminated.
Just the back of the dials. So the back side of the dial has an LED strip on it, and that would be illuminated at night.
I see. So you don't see the brick around the clock. You see the back dial.
Oh, so let me zoom in here. So the back of the clock is actually the brick. So these are raised numerals. Mm-hmm. And then the hands or the dials, those would have a small LED strip on the back just to highlight it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. That's all my questions. Guys, do you have anything? If not, we're going to go.
No, very nice. It's definitely a nice addition to the corner.
Absolutely.
Louis, I did have a question. I know at one previous board meeting you had shown us the lighting plan for the evening hours, and do you happen to have that with you right now, or because I remember that was a pretty impressive display, I thought.
Let's see, let me check here. So I do have it. I just wanted to. I need to locate it. Hold on a second.
Because I know the way that you did it, it sort of transforms the building to a completely different tone,
right?
Which I think is really nice. And,
so with this photo, the one thing to keep in mind about this, I'm going to open it up.
Not going to have the clock.
No, it has the clock, but the numerals. It was a mistake with the rendering. The numerals will not be backlit, only the dials. So let me just share that with you.
Okay.
There's enough passive light from the street to see the numbers. And plus, you can read the time without numerals.
There you go.
Right. So you can see the wall sconces on the second floor along the side of the building. So only, I'm sorry about that. But only the dials would be backlit and not the numbers.
Not the numbers,
Yeah.
Why? But that makes more sense.
But Jim, you can still tell when you see where the big hand is and the little hand. Okay,
correct. And that was
most of us know how to tell time. That wasn't directed at me in particular, was it?
So
it looks really nice. I gotta say,
yeah, it looks really
I thought that the only place right now in close vicinity to this that has a clock is a digital clock. So I thought that doing something like this would be a bit more timeless and subtle.
Yes, I agree. Good choice. All right.
And is this the actual what it's actually going to look like? Because it's a pretty dramatic flip from the white to sort of this a beige look. I mean, it's an approximate rendering.
It's an approximate rendering. I think it's the coloration of the sunset, which is transforming that white brick into something that's a bit more beige.
Okay.
The sunset's in the west, by the way. Which is behind this.
Behind the building.
It's back there. Yeah.
I only know because I look in that direction every night when the sun goes down. This is the wrong direction. Anyway, can we go to the public?
Jim, before you do that, maybe you could have both Phil and Joe indicate what their final comments are.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
So Joe, let's start with you. Mr. Tremelli?
Sure. Yep. Good evening, everybody. We actually have some very minor, minimal comments at this point. It's a relatively straightforward site plan as site plans go, and it was very complete from the onset. So, and thanks to Margaret, one of my first comments, or my first comment in my memo, was related to the potential need for an additional area variance for parking spaces. I think the architectural plans show an 8'9" dimension for the width, but Margaret informed me today that there is an existing prior variance that had been issued specific to that. So that's no longer necessary. The stormwater system, more than adequate. We've reviewed that. We have some very minor comments on some of the construction details of one or two of the components of it, but certainly nothing complicated or insurmountable. The requirements from the Westchester County DPW and the town Highway Department for street opening permits is just a matter of process that the applicant will have to go through post-approval. But again, all the details associated with those improvements, the sidewalk restoration, the curb, the street pavement restoration, all those details are already included on the plan set. So I think they have everything they need to go ahead and get those permits. I think the only kind of question we had at this point was with regard to the site lighting. As was just discussed and reviewed, it is a very non-overbearing lighting plan, but we did just ask that the photometrics be provided along with the lighting. They are only proposing a few pole-mounted lights with the LEDs that would provide any real throw of light. The smaller bollard type lighting is going to be a very subtle light and very appropriate for the site. But we just thought you'd want to see whether the board wants to see it or would want to leave it to us for review as a condition of an approval if amenable. We'd be more than willing to do that just to ensure that there's no throw off site. But with the LED lighting, it's typically very easy to accommodate. It is a focused light, very easy to direct where you want it to go. So I don't envision that being a problem either. That's really all we had on this plan. Otherwise, I think we're in very good shape.
Great, thank you. I think we'll leave the photometrics to you. I'd love to say it's sort of cool, but you don't need to come back with that.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Greeley.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. So we only had one remaining comment on this, which was that a maintenance and protection of traffic plan or a work zone traffic control plan be provided, during for activities during construction, especially with the proximity of the Waverly School. And we want to just, make sure that that plan is presented and coordinated with the police department and with the town, during those activities. That was really the only remaining comment we had on this.
That's a good point. Yeah, but they have that parking lot in the back, so I guess they'll stage from there.
Correct.
Right, so somehow they'll just take deliveries over there, but you're right, with school and everything, they're going to have to time them and such. Margaret has put that down, and I'm going to read that as a condition of approval. But we picked that, Margaret picked that up. Okay, thank you. So now it's to Bob. See if there's anybody with any comments.
Now you need to open the public hearing though now.
Okay.
Doesn't it remain open or?
Well, yeah, but I still think you should acknowledge that the public hearing is opening.
So the public hearing is opening, and I already made a motion, but we'll make a motion again to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. If there is anyone from the public who would like to address the board on this application, please use the raise your hand feature, and I will invite you to unmute yourself. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I don't see any members of the public that are indicating they wish to address the board on this application.
Thank you. So then I make a motion. I think we're done. So I make a motion to close the public hearing on this application, 20-08291 Main Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any other comments, guys?
I think it looks terrific. It's going to really enhance that corner quite a bit.
Yeah,
so.
I do. It passed that quite frequently. I think everyone's going to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Nice addition to the
and it does look like really, all the detail that went into it, and I think it's a tight site, obviously, as it exists, but it required a lot of thoughtful a lot of thought that went into this, and it looks aesthetically just a whole heck of a lot better than what exists there right now. So I think did a really nice job on this. Thank you.
Quite a very experienced architect with lots of vision. That's what it is. So then there's a couple of conditions that I'm going to make before we approve the application, and they are number one, Mr. Tramelli is going to take care of the photometrics. Then number 2 and 3 and 4. Yes.
Jim, do you
Yes,
mind if I just read? I think so that you don't miss something. If you could just read the conditions that are on the summary sheet,
Yep.
because that covers Joe's. I don't want you to.
Oh, you have it there?
Yes,
Okay,
I do.
cool. Okay, I didn't know it was there. So I'm going to, as you said, I'm going to read it. So prior to issuance of building permit, the applicant, number one, the applicant shall prepare a maintenance and protection of traffic plan for review and approval by the town's traffic engineer, fire and police departments, and the school district. 2, among other things, ensure that the construction activities, that is sidewalk closures and material deliveries, avoid conflicts with peak school activities to the maximum extent possible. Number 2, the applicant shall address all outstanding comments in the memorandum from Keller Sessions dated February 24, 2021, to the satisfaction of the town's engineering consultant. And prior to the issuance of the CO, the landscape architect shall provide a signed and sealed letter to the building and planning department certifying that the landscape plan has been installed in accordance with the approved plans. Any proposed changes to the landscape plan shall be reviewed by the landscape architect and then approved by the building and planning department prior to installation, and shall be documented in the letter submitted by the landscape architect. Those are the conditions. Gentlemen, if without further ado, I make a motion to approve this application 20-08 291 Main Street, subject to the conditions just stated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Louis. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Nice,
You can
nice working with you.
Yeah, you can put your other hat on now.
At least for a little while. Right. All right. It's good. So when are they going to start? When are they going to be able to start? As soon as they get a permit, right?
As soon as we get a permit, yeah, we're working on getting all of that done now in terms of all the, the construction details and everything. So and the structural work. So.
Great. Okay, so the next application is 20-19 Kids Corner, 189 Brook Street.
Jim, are you ready for them to begin?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ivy, do you want to begin? Or I don't know who's kicking it off.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Do you want me to share my screen with the plans that what we submitted?
Sure. However you feel comfortable presenting.
You want to start? I think I have you pulled up. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. Oh my gosh. All right, Teresa, where do you want me to start?
I guess we could start with the plans. So just scroll down to this. And so the building plan is substantially the same as it was before. We've had to tweak it a little bit because of some of the fire rules and to make the fire stair work in the back with the required setbacks, and also not have too many openings too close to property lines. Very minor changes there. The major change, if you can just scroll down a little bit, is that we decided to put on a gable roof to make it a little more attractive, and we've got these double gables now in the front. The roof won't be quite as high as we've shown here because it turns out that the fire department needs the ridge line to be 30 feet or under, and what I've drawn here is about 34. I sent a revised drawing, but I didn't get that word until I think Tuesday evening.
I have the drawing. You want me to put it up, Teresa?
Well, we don't need to do it now, but before the end of the presentation, we might just, all that happens is this roof stops here and the slope of the roof is, a little further down, and I brought down this little square window. As a result of some of these changes, the other thing that I did, if you can scroll back up, is I put all the handicap bathrooms on the first floor, and that meant that we lost a few children. So the actual number of children that will be using this site is a little bit fewer than we had presented in the last meeting. I don't think it makes a whole lot of difference to the drop-off plans, but it would make a little bit, I think. Do you remember, Ivy, how many children we lost? 3, 4?
We're down to 56.
Okay. So, and that was from 61, I think, originally. So,
Yeah.
so that's a substantial difference in terms of the drop-off, speed. I think Louise can probably speak more to what we did with the landscape plan to address the concerns. I think the main thing that you were concerned about was the way the building looked. The way it works is the same as before. And we'll see whether the ARB likes it or whether we need to tweak it some more. But that's the idea. There's a front porch, but now the second floor extends over that, and we just have a little metal roof here that comes back. And this is more of a covered passageway than a actual porch.
Which works better, actually.
Yeah, I think it's going to work well.
Yeah, because we have parents then, picking up, so they don't have to get wet.
They could all stand there 6 feet apart. So I don't know, Louise, do you want to address the site plan?
I think at this point, there are very few details or changes to the site plan. Can everyone hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. Why don't you go to the next sheet, the proposed site plan. Keep going.
Taking a long time to load for some reason. I don't know why. Is that it?
Probably. There it is.
There we go. Okay. All right. We relocated the refuse, recycling, and also garbage containers to the back corner, the front left side of the lot, just because they were, less intrusive as you pull into the lot. That's not the first thing that you're going to see on the front right corner of the lot. And they're also conveniently located to be able to move to the front when pickup occurs twice a week. We also pulled the right curb in 3 feet to be code compliant. So on both sides, we're pulled in 3 feet. I don't think we've changed any of the landscaping at all. The fence is 4 feet high to be code compliant, and so we don't need a zoning variance. And the lot dramatically drops off from back right corner to the back left corner. So over here, the retaining wall may be 2.5 feet, whereas over here, it rises to 5'9" or something like that. And that's not this lot, it's the rear lot itself is dramatically sloped. So things slope front to back and right to left, or east to west. And I guess in terms of changes, significant changes, I don't, correct me, I don't think we have too many at this point, other than subtle corrections to the deep architectural details.
Okay.
We've got a double stair in the back there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brian is going to speak for Carlito. Let me see where
we added a single pole fixture in the front left corner of the lot.
Okay, let me move back. Hold
on. Single pole lighting fixture right in the corner. And a photometric has not been undertaken, photometric study in terms of the fixtures that will be on the building itself and projecting onto the front and rear sides of the property have not been addressed yet. And our MEP, when we bring them on board, will handle that. That's Collado Engineering, and they typically have been handling on other jobs that I have worked with them the photometric.
All right, we'll ask our consultant to look at it once it's complete.
Yeah, I mean, the electrical department handles that.
I understand.
At Collado.
Are you waiting for someone to continue, or?
Yeah, no, Brian, I'm gonna.
Yeah, I was just waiting for Louise to finish.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Brian Dempsey. A licensed professional engineer from the firm Provident Design Engineering, formerly TRC Engineers. I'm filling in for Carlito Holt, who was presented last time at our at the hearing. Actually, can I?
You want to share your screen, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Margaret, can I share my screen?
Yeah, you should be able to do that under any circumstances.
Okay. Did it come up or?
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, should be the front of the site and Brook Street.
Yes.
All right, because for some reason it's not showing up on my. Okay, so we know we have comments from Phil that we have to still respond to. We were thinking we were to wait till we heard from the town board to get any opinion from them if they were okay with the approach we were taking. We have been going back and forth with Phil on the issues. We submitted a traffic study which showed the project would have no traffic impact, but we know the main issue is the pickup drop-off procedure. The number of students has dropped since we did the original traffic and parking study. There also will be about 13 staff present at any one time. The staff, a portion will drive and a portion will be taking public transportation. There is a Westchester Beeline bus stop at the intersection of Brook Street and 22. For the staff to park, there's two standard spaces on the front in the building parking lot, and then one ADA space. So the staff mainly, we're looking at leasing parking or getting permit parking in one of the municipal lots around the area for staff to park, as opposed to having them park on the street. There will be, what we've established is on this plan to set up a pickup drop-off area where we look to the town to permit like a 5-minute parking for these spaces during the the peak hours in the morning and the evening for pickup drop off. We did an analysis of the other similar daycares that Ivy works with. And we felt that 4 spaces would be sufficient to handle basically all of the pickup and drop off. Pickup is the more key one. But if for some reason all 4 spaces are taken, there is additional on-street parking that we were measured that is available that could be utilized. Based on discussions with Phil, he'd prefer that everyone enter the site on Brook Street from the east. So anyone coming from the west will direct them to use Summerfield to go up to 22, and then on Brook Street to limit people crossing Brook Street to get to the facility. As I said, we're still working on these final details with Phil. But that's our plan. We do show there is enough on-street parking. We went back to some older aerials pre-COVID also to see what they showed in terms of parking availability. There's actually more parking availability shown on those aerials than what we had seen when we did our measurements, which were during COVID. From the traffic standpoint, we use the traffic volumes from the 5 Ray Place study, since that was done before COVID hit. So we did have pre-COVID volumes for the traffic study. And I know we received a letter today from Kellard. Did not really have any specific traffic comments different than what Phyllis asked us to look at.
Are you done, Brian?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that we're done presenting unless there's questions.
Yeah. Any questions, guys? Comments?
Well, I don't know how much further analysis there was on the traffic flow, because I believe when we met in early December, I think it was December 3rd meeting, there was some discussion, and Carlito, I guess, was presenting for the applicant, and there was some discussion of getting accurate counts on the traffic now that the Chico has opened, to see that, because I guess there had been some estimates that were generated before the Chico's opened in October that might.
Yes, we have done new counts, and we'll be submitting them with our package into the board.
And maybe Jim, maybe before we have additional comments, both Phil and Joe could indicate what their comments are, so there's not a lot of kind of redundancy or anything.
I think we're shifting to them right now.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
So Mr. Tremelli, you're up.
Sure. As was mentioned already, there hasn't been much in the way of changes to the site from an engineering standpoint. We do have some, I guess, construction detail related comments that are remaining that could easily be addressed during site plan, comments related to sewer and water service connections, utilities. I will say that the stormwater management system has been designed. It's adequate. It mitigates the 100-year storm event. We have, I think, one very minor comment related to a construction detail for that system, but for all purposes, that stormwater mitigation system is adequate for the development. Some of the I guess the bigger picture items, we had a question regarding the fire department and their determination regarding adequate access. It sounds like there's been an agreement between the applicant and the fire department on how to resolve that. Obviously, the plan will need to be revised to show that, and you'll want confirmation from the fire chief. They've addressed the comment I have in here regarding refuse containment. And the site lighting, again, whether or not the board is amenable to us handling that as a condition of an approval, should it head that way, we'd be willing to do it that way if the board was okay with that. And then anything related to traffic and pickup, drop off, as we indicated, we defer that to Mr. Greeley, and I'll let him take the wheel, pun intended.
Thanks, Joe. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Philip Greeley again. So Brian gave a synopsis, I guess, of the one of the major issues, and Mr. Nemisek's comment is one of the comments we had in our previous review going back to October. So we had about a dozen comments. Of those, there's several that are still outstanding. Mr. Dempsey said he will be responding to those in writing. But what I'd like to do is just highlight probably the four biggest concerns that we had that are really related to access, safety, and traffic and pedestrian movements in general. So number one is, and the applicant maybe can weigh in on some of these. We had suggested getting some input from the Westchester County because this is a county road, Brook Street, that they're okay with the proposed access location and some of the other details, at least on a conceptual basis. Number two, in terms of the pickup and drop-offs, and this drawing that's up right now is actually perfect in terms of understanding this. So if I was coming from the west to either drop off my child or to pick up, we do not want anyone crossing Brook Street. So with that said, we had made some suggestions, and we would like to see this, how it would actually be laid out and relayed to the parents. You have an opportunity, if you're coming from the west, to go up Summerfield Street, or you could turn on to Dunwoody and then on to Summerfield and then up to 22, so that when you would be picking up, you would be on the correct side of Brook Street with your vehicle. So that's number one in terms of how that would function and how that would be relayed to the parents, because we don't want anyone crossing at a location mid-block here. Number two is, at the time they did their study, as Mr. Nemesek pointed out, there were projections for the occupancy of the Chicos, and we suggested the actual counts now that it's open, and it's very critical because, as you see, the site is directly opposite Ray Place. So where the pickup and drop-offs would be occurring is where we have the turning movements in and out of Ray Place. Their study showed that it would, not have an impact, but again, that was based on projections. Since the Chicos has been open and operating, we want that information so we can see how that would actually function. The next item was relative to site distances. Even though they won't have parents pulling in the driveway and pulling out per se, that the site distance exiting from the site for any car that is parked on site would be adequate, and that's really something would be discussed with the county. And then most importantly, which is what Brian talked about here in terms of his presentation, is there are spaces. These are all metered spaces on both sides of Brook Street in this vicinity. Okay, there are no time restrictions that would be amenable to pickup and drop-offs. So if people were parked at the meters at the time when somebody was either dropping off or coming to pick up, there would be a potential problem. So their plan, which is shown here, would be at those peak times that they understand, early in the morning and in the afternoon, late evening, or early evening, when there would be the drop-offs and the pickups, to make some of these spaces controlled so that they're only available for 5 minutes at a time or something of that nature, as opposed to, being able to park there for 2 hours. So that's something that the town board has to weigh in on. We don't know if it's something that they would accept, but if it's not acceptable, we don't have a good condition here in terms of pickups and drop-offs. I believe in the write-up, they talked about the proximity of some of the other municipal lots. We do have the one municipal lot near the pharmacy, which may be used in the morning, but it's anything beyond that is too far to walk. The other, maybe for employees, they could use the municipal lot up on 22, but this is really the most critical item, is the ability to somehow control these spaces so that they would be available for the pickups and drop-offs. And that's really what it boils down to, because even if spaces are available in this vicinity haphazardly, that can change over time unless there is some type of restriction. They are metered spaces. The other commercial facilities in this vicinity, especially when things get back to, even more normal, we need to have an area that's available. So I understand that they will be responding to our other comments. This is, the most critical, I think, in terms of functionality, and they wanted to tackle this first, but this needs, input from the town board, whether they would even consider this.
And can I follow up on that point? So at some point, the applicant reached out to me about approaching the town board, and I had indicated we would need a written submission or a petition to the town board from the applicant. And so they did send me a memorandum, or that was copied to all of you, dated February 9th. And I was initially reluctant to bring it to the supervisor or the town board because I felt in reading it that it didn't provide enough information or context for the board to be able to make much of a determination. Understanding that the other traffic information hadn't been provided yet, and understanding that this was going to come up at the meeting, I did present it to the supervisor, who actually spoke to me about it this morning. He indicated that he felt the town board would not be inclined to permit the restrictions. And without going into complete detail with some of his reasoning, he had mentioned some other businesses in the area that also open up early. But I think part of the problem was not having sufficient information about how, all he was aware of is that we have something proposed with 56 kids arriving in the morning, and you're asking us to put restrictions on the parking. I think there's just not enough additional information for the board to make an informed decision. But based on the information that was presented to him, he did say that he felt the town board would not be inclined to approve the restrictions.
Thank you, Margaret. Mr. Greeley, do you have any more?
Those were the key points. I mean, there were some other technical items that they could respond to when they respond to our October memo, but again, those were the most critical items.
Understood. Thank you. So now, since we're done with the consultants, this is still a public hearing, so let's see if there's any comments from the public.
I'm having a technical difficulty that I'm not, for some reason, somebody shared their screen, and when it went off, I'm not able to access the...
I can do that. So if anyone wants to comment on this application, just use the raise hand feature and I can acknowledge you.
I'm actually going to try to log out and log back in, Margaret.
Okay. Let's see.
Margaret, should I stop sharing?
See if that makes a difference. I don't know why it's not making a difference for me, but see if that makes a difference for Rob.
Now I lost everything.
Okay.
Rob,
And
we
the-
can see you.
Get back up on the screen.
Yeah, don't say anything stupid, Rob.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, while he's trying to, while he's trying to figure that out, we can still see
Yeah,
if
let's
anybody
keep
has any
going.
comments on the application, please use the raise hand function. And actually, nobody's raising their hand.
Margaret should. I'm
So you
sorry.
would keep the public hearing open. Oh, somebody just did. A couple people did. Okay. So I'm going to, we have
I'm
Frank.
back.
Okay. Can you see the people who have their hands raised?
Yes.
Okay.
There are 2 attendees. Well, it says that there are 2 hands here, but I don't see them as I scroll up. And
Okay,
down.
I can see them here. The first is Frank Sweeney, so I'm allowing him to talk. Go ahead, Frank. You just have to unmute yourself and identify yourself.
Yeah. And if I could comment before that, I did want to let you know, Mr. Sweeney, that Margaret shared with the members of the board an email that you had sent to us. So I suspect we're already familiar with certain of the items that I would anticipate you're going to bring up.
Okay, I do appreciate that. Thank you, Margaret, and good evening, board members. I appreciate the opportunity to address you here this evening. I just had a few questions in adjacent, or I should say adjunctive to the ones that are already submitted. I'd like to know how many parking sites are available on site.
How many spaces?
Two regular and a handicap.
Correct.
Is what the site plan showed.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes,
By the way, Mr. Sweeney, this is Phil Nemisek again. I think I interrupted before when you were coming on. The normal procedure is you identify yourself and if you're a resident like you are, your address.
Okay,
so
I'm
if you
sorry.
could do that. Yep.
It's Frank Sweeney, 22 Lakeview Avenue, Scarsdale, New York, 10583.
Terrific.
Okay. As we all know, and obviously this is no secret to anybody else, but not included in my memo to Margaret, that Brook Street is probably the #1 East Coast, I should say East-West tributary to Route 22 and to the Bronx River Parkway. It's no surprise to anybody else, and there's no surprise to any of us here in terms of the planning board that the North Eastchester is a very, very busy area. There's no question about it. I would think between the hours of probably 7:30 till about 9:30, and in the evening hours, probably from 3:30 till possibly 6 o'clock, Route 22 feeds into Brook Street. And from my estimation, I've lived here more than 50 years. It is a bottleneck going east and going west to the Bronx River Parkway. With the understanding that there's going to be 13 staff members and we have 3 potential parking sites, 1 for a handicap and 2 for, I guess, the other people, I raised the same concerns that the engineer raised about safety. Drop-off is going to be a concern, and if we're going down the road where the town board is not going to consider something a little bit different from the front of the building, the only option left, I think, is going to be the municipal parking lot, which is a half a block up to drop the young children off. I think it becomes a dangerous area because it is a lively drop-off area. And I think what happens is that that's a fairly active driveway for those stores on Route 22. And I'd like to just get a flavor of what is the frontage on Brook Street for the building itself?
You're asking how many feet?
Feet, yeah. How many feet does it encompass?
Somewhere
Is it a
between
50-foot front or 60-foot front?
The lot is 50 by 100.
It's 50 by 100?
Yes, I believe so. It's 5,000 square feet.
The lot.
The lot, yes.
Okay. I think if you're going to take into consideration the questions that I've already proposed to Margaret and yourself already, I think there's a lot of unanswered questions here as it relates to safety, access, and the overall design of the building in terms of only having 3 on-site parking available. I think the staff could probably go to a municipal lot on Route 22, but it's not going to be a short walk, and it's going to be a dangerous walk crossing 22 and crossing over Brook Street, that's for sure, even for an adult. So I think what I'm saying here is that I think we're at a stretch. If the town is not going to come up with an alternative for the parking considerations and the drop-off considerations, what are the hours of operation, may I ask?
Ivy, can you answer that? What your hours of operation are?
7 to 6:30.
Thank you.
6:30?
Yes.
6:30.
And what is the closing hours?
7 to 6:30, I think.
Oh, 7 to 6:30. Are the children going to be there all day, or is it going to be a part-time session for some of them? The 56 that you did.
You want me to speak to this, Margaret?
Yeah, would you please?
Sure, yes.
Yeah. So we don't operate like a school. They don't all come at the same time, and they don't all leave at the same time.
Thank you. Mr. Sweeney, back to you.
So then it could be conceivable that there'd be more people waiting to come in at different times rather than in the early morning or in the late afternoon. I'm just trying to get a flavor of when the potential.
It sounds like it's a continuous. It's a continuous cycle.
Yeah, in the afternoon.
Ivy, is that what you said? It's a continuous cycle. Everyone doesn't come all at once.
So they drop off typically in the morning between the hours of 7 to 10. That's the last drop off at 10 o'clock. And then they usually start picking up after nap somewhere between 4 and 6:30. All of the times are staggered. They're not all arriving at
the same time. Got it.
The only thing is that if they're not all arriving at the same time, that creates, in my mind, another parking issue in terms of how do we get people in and out if they're all coming at different times, because we don't have, as we all know, a lot of space on Brook Street. I mean, that's a given. And matter of fact, even in the entire North End, we don't have that much parking.
So, Mr. Sweeney, we're very much aware of the operations of the pickup and the drop-off and parking spots. That's our main concern also. So that's what we're considering. They did a great job fixing up the architecture, and we appreciate that. But I think all of us, everyone on this call right now, are very focused on the matters you're bringing up. So all of your concerns are fully regarded. We're not going to sweep them off the table.
Yes.
And we certainly appreciate the concern you've put in to give the time and write the email and come on this call. So if you have any other comments, please feel free. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to explain our level of concern.
I do not.
Great. Thank you, then.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, there's a Michael Fasiglione on with his hand raised. Mr. Fasiglione, I'm going to invite you to unmute yourself and just please give your name and address for the board.
Good evening, board members. My name is Michael Fasiglione. I live at 43 Woodruff Avenue, Scarsdale, New York. Basically, I'd like to make a few comments, starting with the fact that although we community members, I believe, greatly appreciate any improvement to the present site of this piece of property, there are certainly a few items that need to be addressed, and I'm going to mirror some of the things that Frank Sweeney discussed, basically with concern to the parking situation. He made mention of the fact that there being 13 staff members and just 3 parking spots, we're going to have a situation where that CVS parking lot will have to be used, and it will make things more difficult. But more importantly, I believe the pickup and drop-off situation is really a critical situation, simply because what the builders are proposing is a 5-minute pickup and drop-off zone area for certain hours. Now, since there are going to be staggered arrival times, that area of pickup and drop off, I believe, is going to be stretched from anywhere from 7 o'clock in the morning till, I would think, 10 o'clock in the morning. That's my guess. So you can correct me. But I get the feeling that since there are staggered pickups and drop offs, that area is going to be extended. And the fact that they propose probably a 5-minute drop-off period, that's really not a very good situation, simply because, as I understand it, the parent has to take the child into the facility and sign in and then come back out again. And I believe that certainly will take more than 5 minutes. The second item with reference to the parking situation, or the drop-off situation, I should say, is the matter of the proposal that the parents will come up Summerfield, come around 22, turn around, and come back down Brook Street. I know at the earlier meeting, some comments were made as to maybe they should make Summerfield a one-way street. That's a very difficult situation. There's a lot of traffic on that upper portion of Summerfield. But more importantly, just taking human nature into hand, I could just see most parents who are coming up from the Bronx River Parkway, they're in a hurry, they're 10 minutes late to their job, and they're going to leave the car on the southern side of Brook Street and run across Brook Street with that child. That's a very dangerous situation. I just see a problem that is just going to happen. The next situation with reference to the traffic in the area is the traffic study. Again, I'm going to reiterate that I think that we have to do a new traffic study. The post-COVID traffic study that was made when Acme was not there any longer, there was really no traffic, but based upon the popularity of the DeCicco and Sons market, there's a lot more traffic coming down Ray Place, and I think that has to be addressed. And finally, the couple of comments made by Mr. Greeley, I think, are very important. The fact that those metered spaces that are in front of the building, which we're going to speak about waiving, feeding the meters at that time, it's obvious that the town board is really not in favor of that. So I think that's an important situation. So basically, I'm just really concerned about the parking and the traffic, and I believe that it's got to be addressed. I don't know whether these problems are insurmountable, but they definitely need to be addressed, and I think they should be looked at by the Architectural Review Board very closely. Thank you very much. That is basically what I have to say.
You're welcome. Thank you. And as I said to Mr. Sweeney, we're very much in agreement that we are focusing on those issues.
Mr. Chairman, there's a Ms. Patricia Gabrielle who has her hand up. Ms. Gabrielle, I'm going to invite you to unmute yourself. Just please give your name and address for the members.
Hello, my name is Pat Gabriel. I live at 24 Ray Place, Scarsdale, New York. I also have some concerns about the parking and the traffic, but what I wanted to know is, Dr. Rentz, you said that there's a multiple sessions. How many children arrive at each session, just approximately?
Oh, Ivy, you're muted.
We don't operate in sessions. We operate in a staggered pickup and drop off. So that's different.
Okay, so like because of the 5-minute time frame that you're giving everybody to drop off and pick up, how many people would be using, like, say, from the how many people would be coming about the same time?
So on average, we actually have about 3 to 4 parents dropping off at any given every 5-minute increment, which is why we needed the 3 to 4 parking spaces. Parents at this point do not come into the building. They call us. We know that they're coming. We have the child ready by the door. We scan the child, and we don't use a signage system. We have an electronic system. Children are clocked out as soon as they walk out the door.
So that's for the pickup. What about the drop off? They don't have to come
Same
into
way, they come to the door. They do not come into the building.
So you're thinking that 5 minutes is enough for all of these things?
I'm saying 5 minutes is what's happening now.
Okay. And my other
We
question
have
is
more kids.
okay. I just wanted to get an idea. The other question is, you're talking about the fact that DeChico has created a lot more traffic, and it's very true, DeChico has. But now there's also that new building that you guys are proposing to allow 5 Ray Place, which is adding another bunch of traffic coming down that hill. So I just wanted, when you do the traffic study, you need to take that into account too.
Yes, the applicant is aware of that, and I think they said as they move forward, they're going to take both of those into account in new traffic studies.
Okay, because I think that they're going to have a lot of need for parking too, since they don't have enough parking in the building, and they're probably going to be using some of the municipal spots too, or the street parking. So I just wanted to make a comment about that, because it's very crowded there, especially from 4 to 6:30. That street, Brook Street, is so crowded, but you guys know that anyway. So I just wanted to get an understanding of the 5-minute rule in terms of the number of people. So 3 or 4 every 5 minutes. Okay, thank you.
There is no parking space directly in front of the building, in front of the driveway currently. There is a parking space that is just to the left of that driveway. And if that space could be dedicated for this facility, a lot of these issues that are being discussed tonight would be, alleviated. Those concerns with what Ivy has clearly identified as a staggered pickup and drop off. If if the current space enabled, if parents pulled first in front of the driveway and then we're able to park in what is now a parking space, and have that dedicated to the facility, and then be able to pull out within 40 feet. They could pull into the facility in front of the building and pull out without having to parallel park. And as long as Ivy can maintain the strict schedule of pickup and drop off, I think this whole thing can work. So it behooves the town board. This is a public-private partnership. There are very limited daycare facilities in the community. I know when my kids were little, it was a real struggle to find a great place, for a working parent. And I think the town board needs to come to terms with this, addressing the need for this kind of facility.
So although I do agree with it as a need for this facility, I think we on the planning board and the other boards in the town are responsible for I know you could advocate for the client. We have to make sure that we advocate for the town and their concerns also. So there's got to be a balance between the two. That's what
the Ivy's been able to set up a staggered pickup and drop off in her other facilities, and this would be no different.
I'm not so sure.
Parents are assigned to a specific or have signed on to being able to drop off or pick up their child in a staggered manner, so that they can make the system work for everyone. Am I right, Ivy? Is that how it works? That, parents have signed on to specific times of drop off and pick up, so that you don't have more than one parent arriving within a 5-minute duration.
We just try to comply with whatever. Each site is a little bit different. Whatever the town has restricted for us to comply with, we always do our best, and we include it in the contract. So parents that violate the contract are up for dismissal.
Yeah, and can I clarify? Right now, you're operating the facility that you would propose to move to Brook Street.
Yeah.
You're operating that facility actually in the shopping center that has the DeChico and Sons, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So and in the current location, its current iteration, you have pickup and drop off at designated times for the
It's the
parents?
same. We're not
Same
changing.
thing. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
exactly
Okay.
the same thing, and it's 72 kids in that same time frame. So we're
Okay.
coming significantly down with the number of children that
But
we're.
but they do that. But they do that one within the parking lot of
Yeah, they have
CVS,
to do the
correct?
same
So I mean,
thing.
it's a little different in the sense that it's fine to say that you need to be here at 7:05 and then 7:10 and then 7:15.
Well, when,
As just let me finish. And basically that's wonderful. So the plan is that's the way it's going to be. But we all know that as a few of the folks that spoke already, that things happen, weather, late, alarm clock didn't go off. It just seems like I think it's a wonderful idea to revitalize that area, that building, but it's just a not a good spot for putting 58 kids in and out of there. That's the only concern. I think it needs to be thought out some more and some other options put on the table.
Yeah. And it's 56 kids, I think.
It's
56. Okay, thank you.
What I was saying was that when they register, they give us the time frame so that we already have a schedule that we know, and we can account for.
We all live in that area. We
The
park
reason
on that
I'm saying
street.
that, Mr. Cunningham, if you give me a chance, is that I've been there 10 years. This is not like a 1 year kind of like, we got a good tracking of 10 years of dropping off children in that location.
In a parking lot, though.
Yeah.
In a big parking lot.
It's the same thing. The parking lot is.
I'm sorry.
I think what would be helpful to the board, the consultants, and also the town board would be sort of the staggered drop-off schedule, actually written down, something concrete that we can look at to make that determination. Just because there's a 3-hour slot of time where 56 kids are dropped off on a main road. So I just think if it's written down, shown, the duration, the total duration. I know it's 3 hours, but it could be less. But it's just hard for us to see without that information.
Can I just say two things very quickly? One, I do think some of that information was attached to the memo that was provided to you, the February 9th memo, yes. But the other thing is, let's make sure that the person that had spoken during the public hearing, that she's done. Let's let her finish up, and then when she's finished, we can come back to the board. Patricia, did you have additional comments?
Well, she's muted right now. She had finished.
But her hand is still up, so we need to know whether she's finished. Yes.
Raised.
I do have something to say.
No, I'm sorry. We didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
Please finish.
I think I did finish, but I just want to comment on something that Dr. Rent said. You might have been in that parking lot where DeChico and Sons is currently, but I've noticed that since DeChico and Sons is there and their parking lot is much fuller than it used to be with Acme, there's always a double parked car, right? There's a car always parked at the curb right in front of where your building is. So people are dropping off and they're not actually parking in the parking lot. I'm always going around a car that's parked there waiting to drop off or pick up.
You're actually right, but they're not for my facility. It's for the physical therapy facility. They
back
up.
Okay, well, I don't go out.
I'm just telling you, it's not for me.
Okay. And the other comment I just want to say is, I think it's unfair to the other businesses that are there that you're taking up these 4 spots for your use, 6 hours, 7 to 10 and 4 to 6:30. They have been there for very long, and they've had to have their customers, find spots. And now you're taking 4 spots from them at 2 different times of the day. I don't know if it's really fair.
Right. That's not really a question we should be putting to Ivy. That's something.
No, just I'm making a comment to you, not to Ivy. Ivy's comment.
Right.
We are aware of that.
May I jump in?
No,
there's no spot in front of Ivy's driveway. That there is no parking space in front of Ivy's driveway. So we're only talking about taking one current meter space in front to just do west of the driveway and dedicating that on a twice a day basis for no parking. So there would be parking from 10 to 3 there, 15-minute parking, and after that there would be 5-minute parking for use of the facility.
And actually, you're speaking about 3 spaces, not just 1 space. But also, I think we need to defer some of these parking and traffic issues to the parking and traffic engineers that we have on board here. So I think we understand what the issue is with regard to the concerns about the spots in front. And as I said, with regard to the town board, the intuitive response was, we're not inclined to consider this, but I think part of that intuitive response was a lack of additional context or information. So, that's not to say you can't approach the town board again, but one thing that I did want to say, and I Phil had written his memorandum on October 13th. Then we had a staff and consultant Zoom meeting in November, and then we met at the December meeting and discussed a lot of those traffic and parking issues. And unfortunately, they're all very interrelated. And so I think we have 2 issues right now. The planning board does not have enough information with regard to potential impacts of traffic and parking, or enough information to ensure that they believe children can be dropped off safely in order to make a secret determination. And they had initially indicated their intent to be lead agency. I've talked to the chairman about that, and they may reconsider that. So unfortunately, even though I understand why you are anxious to get the information from the town board, and that is a critical factor, I think it's so interrelated with those other traffic and parking issues that you really have to respond to those comments from that October 13th meeting, both from a seeker perspective and because it helps make your argument otherwise as well.
And we'll submit that to Phil with the Chico's counts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and if I could comment as well, I think it was Mr. Fasiglione, I believe erroneously made a comment about the Architectural Review Board. I know we've heard a lot about the town board having to address issues of parking. Our board, the planning board, is charged with certain tasks, and then we also have potentially the zoning board of appeals, which would have to grant or consider and grant variances in order for all of this to work. So it's a bit of a juggling act we have, and this planning board is limited in the scope of its review, and we can do certain things and look at certain considerations in an application, but as we've tried to make clear, there are several other boards involved in making this happen. So I wanted to make that point. Mm-hmm.
So which leads to where I'm going now, because as Margaret put forth, there's a lot of information that we just haven't gotten yet, and we requested on several occasions, haven't gotten it, and rather than continue to ask it and come back to the next meeting and still going through it, I think, and Margaret and I have discussed this, and I'm about to read a statement, we think at this point it's probably a better idea to move this application to the zoning board and let them start weighing in on it rather than waiting here for another month or 2 to get it a little bit better and then bring it to the zoning board. So that being said, hey, Robert, by the way, excuse me, is there anyone else with comments, or we're done?
No, there are no hands raised
Okay.
at this time.
Thank you. So then we're going to leave the public hearing open, and if there's no other comments from us, I'm going to read.
Just excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Just as we said that, a hand went up.
Oh, okay, so hold what I was saying in your mind, and let's go to this person.
Okay, Mr. Fioravanti, I'm going to invite you to unmute yourself. Please identify yourself, and we lost him. Maybe it was a mistake.
But there he is.
Wait, here he
Okay,
is.
he's back.
He's moving around. Okay.
Okay. Margaret?
Yes.
Good evening. You guys hear me?
Yes, we
Do you want to
can.
address
Yes,
the
hello, Margaret. Good evening to the board. I just got a couple comments. I'm not going to take up too
Can you
much of
identify
your
yourself
time.
first and
yes.
your
Hi, Phil.
interest? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm well, my mother is a resident at 24 Ray Place for 30 years. I've lived here for quite some time. I don't live here now, but I do live in Eastchester close by. There's 2 things here. I don't know if you guys know Ray Place, but just this last 6 weeks, we went through a lot of snowstorms. On Ray Place, the hill, when it snows, it gets very icy, slippery. I've had times over the years when I've lived here, if I try to go down the hill, my car would slide directly into Brook Street. Very dangerous. So I have to shoot my car up the hill to go up to where Acme or the Chico's is, that lot. It is a very, very dangerous hill here. This is one of the highest points probably in Eastchester, one of the higher points, in probably Mid-Westchester here. So I'm just giving you a little background of somebody who lives directly here in the area. If this applicant was putting in a single family house or, a multi-family house, this wouldn't really be an issue. But because of the 5 Ray Place, proposal, you're going to have 2 different projects going on at the same time, which will probably be construction crews coming into the area at the same time, jamming up traffic on Brook Street and Ray Place. Since the Chico's has been put in, I've seen a couple times trucks have been stuck on the hill. They cannot get up the hill. I have photos of that. When you go down when you're going down Ray Place, sometimes if there's a car parked right at the very end, and you're looking left, and there's a car parked in that first spot, it's a very blind spot there. You cannot see any cars coming up Brook Street going to 22. It's very dangerous. If you guys go through with this project and you do 5 Ray Place, you may have to put a stoplight there, especially if you're going to have little kids. No disrespect to the applicant. My wife was in the school systems for many years. Having a place for kids is a very good thing. But I think as one of the board members says, this spot is the wrong location to have this school, only because of the amount of kids and the amount of people dropping off and being picked up and not enough room to maneuver cars. Plus, I got to tell you something too. On Brook Street, there are cars that speed up the hill around the corner going to 22. It's like they're trying to get to the light and beat the light. A lot of times the cars are speeding up and down that street. So you're going to have a lot of kids being dropped off, more traffic. If this, coming down from the Chico, you're going to have Ray Place. You have more traffic coming up and down. I just think this is a bad location for this site. And just also in addition as well, because of 5 Ray Place, I myself petitioned. I have 200 petitions of people, taxpayers that are opposed to that site being constructed. I went around for days to many homes around the area. They were not happy about that future proposal being. So if you're going to log jam this area with another project that's going to have more input, more traffic, and more construction going on at the same time, you guys also have to be aware of there are people that live around here and that pay high taxes that are unhappy with this type of stuff going on here. So just to let you know, that's my input. I think this is I think she has a great idea to absolutely daycare is a big plus. It's needed, but at that location is not a good location for this. I would say anywhere else would be perfect. And that's about it, gentlemen and ladies. And thank you, Margaret.
Yeah, Mr. Fioravanti, could you
Yes.
state your address for the record as well? You said
24 Ray Place, Scarsdale, New York.
I thought you said that was your.
I'm at
mother's.
7 Dunwoody Street.
There you go.
So
Thank
down
you.
the street.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you for the comments. Okay, so no one else, right? Robert.
I do not see any. Mr. Fioravanti's hand just went up again.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm handing. I don't know how to. Sorry about that.
Okay,
We'll keep going.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, so back to where I was. So as I was saying, we think that at this point, rather than continue the back and forth with the applicant, we would like to move this forward to the zoning board. So unless there's any other comments from the applicant, I'm going to read a statement that sort of explains our thought process, because I personally share a lot of concerns about the drop off and pickup and the parking and everything that's being said. And I think I probably reflect everyone on the board. We also have the same concerns. So somehow that has to be worked through, or whatever needs to be done. So the board believes the applicant has been responsible to concerns regarding stormwater and site engineering issues, as well as the architectural character of the building. We appreciate what you've did. We think it looks very handsome now. This issue has been sufficiently addressed to the extent that any outstanding details can be deferred to the final site plan review. However, the board still has significant concerns regarding the impact of the proposed project on traffic and parking conditions in the area. The board has not yet been provided with the information requested in the October 13, 2020 memo from the town's traffic engineer and reiterated by this board at the December 3rd, 2020 meeting. We also haven't been provided with sufficient information to ensure that all the children can be dropped off safely at the proposed center. Further, the town supervisor has indicated that the town board would not be inclined to permit the proposed parking restrictions on the 3 existing spaces in front of the site. Rather than proceed with the coordinated secret review at this time, we will forward the application to the ZBA for an uncoordinated secret review and for consideration of the proposed area variances. In making this referral, the planning board will make strong note of its concerns regarding potential adverse impacts to traffic and parking conditions in the area and the applicant's ability to ensure safe conditions for the children to be dropped off. So that being said, I make a motion to refer this application to the ZBA for uncoordinated secret review of the application and for consideration of the proposed area variances.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I just want to ask the applicant, so do you understand what the process is now? Or so you'll be going to the zoning board. You'll still have to present issues related to, the stormwater management, the proposed architecture, but you've gotten those in pretty good shape. So it'll still be, the primary concerns are going to be the traffic, the parking, and the drop off.
So nothing's really changed except you're going in front of the zoning board and putting your application in front of them.
Yeah.
We just sort of felt rather than delay you more and then you go to the zoning board, now would be the best time for you to move to them and present the application. See what half they say, and then when they're done, come back to us with the results.
And you're going to need the variances to move forward.
And maybe what's the process for getting a more definite response from the town board? Does it come up at a meeting, or do they continue writing memos?
Well, I think that the applicant would need to make a petition to the town board. Again, kind of elaborate on what was already presented, but I think some of the other supporting materials would be very helpful and a better description of how this all functions and operates so that the board has a comfort level with it. I think what Supervisor Colavitas said was similar to what some of the residents said. The meters will be, if they're dedicated for short-term parking, that will negatively impact some of the other businesses on the road based on their operating hours. But none of that information was provided here, so I don't know if that's just an intuitive response or if that's actual reality that, some businesses open up early and rely on those spaces, that kind of thing. So I think it would be to kind of make an additional submission that provides more information about that really is an advocate for the application for them to consider.
Okay. All right, it's a parallel path to what you're going to do with the zoning.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So the next application.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your service.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you for
Really
thank you for thanking us. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Have a good night now.
Right.
So the next application is one that's near and dear to me because I'm an ICS parishioner. It's application, and as is Mr. Nemisek for his whole life, is application 20-37 ICC Arch Care 265 White Plains Road.
You have everybody there. Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Zarin, law firm Zarin and Steinmetz, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and your very preeminent consultants and staff. Represent Arch Care and the parish, Immaculate Conception, and Assumption of Our Lady, in connection with their joint application seeking site plan approval to rehabilitate and repurpose the former convent building on the parish's campus to provide 10 residential units for high-functioning individuals with autism. And it's to be known as the Arch Care St. Francis Cabrini Apartments at the Immaculate Conception Church. I'm joined tonight by Sakiyakis, the architect, William Schneider, PS&S, the engineer, and Father Sorgi, possibly. So he's there in name. I'm not sure in person. So
if Father Sorgi passes up the opportunity to be heard, I will be surprised.
I was trying to make that comment because that's just to encourage him to speak. Thanks.
Could I just stop there?
Just let him get it over with. That's right.
Go right to the vote.
Just can't cast up an empty mic.
Okay. If I can, like to share my screen while I just describe to some of you that are not familiar.
I want you to know that I heard that comment, by the way.
All is forgiven. It's the Lenten season.
It's early in Lent. You have 40 days and 40 nights.
Right. We're looking to
God bless you all.
We're looking to hear from your father, but maybe at the end.
Thank you.
Your board had your chance. All right, if I can, please.
Please, Tim.
Okay, so, whoops, it didn't come in. All right. I don't know if everybody can see the photos, but these are this is the convent building. It consists of about 1.98 acres of the 11.65 acre campus. This building over the years was occupied by 28 nuns, but it has been vacant since 2012 due to significant water damage. Arch Care, in conjunction with the parish, Arch Care is the healthcare system or arm of the Archdiocese, which provides special healthcare services to the communities of the Archdiocese. They have joined together to repurpose this building as a residential service and staff support for up to 10 high-functioning individuals with autism over the age of 21. The majority of the tenants or residents will likely be from many families of the parish congregants. This is a demographic that is in need of these types of facilities. There's a growing need for this type of apartments for adults with autism and the opportunity to live independently. There'll be 10 residential units, including 9 studios for the tenants, and 1-bedroom apartment to be occupied by a on-site coordinator. There'll also be some common space. Okay, I just want to make sure I got the whole thing. Common space and social activities and dining. Most of the be very little work on the exterior. Most of it will be predominantly to the internal to the building and just renovation, rehabilitation, except for 10 spaces, 10 parking spaces that will be built on the site. And I'll turn to the site plan in a moment. Traffic will be extremely low. Most of the residents will take public transportation. The bus stop is right there. Also, Metro North. Many of them will go to jobs or school. None of them, or very few, if any, will have cars. They don't have cars. The traffic may be 5 cars a day. Reason they put 10 spaces was just at times where you may have family visiting. That was the maximum number that possibly typically attends. The Arch Care has a facility in Staten Island, almost exactly the same, and they pretty much understand the operation. Stormwater. There'll be a new driveway where they'll drain most of the storm water into existing trench drains and underground filtration. And then the remainder of the site will drain to a series of proposed catch basins within the parking area, which will ultimately discharge to a newly proposed underground infiltration. Again, most of the work will occur in the interior, except for what I just mentioned. Let me just open up the site plan and
One glass of water, please.
Okay, there. All right, this is the site plan. Again, this is the front cover sheet. You can see the driveway coming off of Midland Avenue. The additional parking. This is an existing driveway that comes off Midland Avenue. The parking and the existing building. There will be retaining wall in this area with just some fencing, small retaining wall. And a little bit of retaining wall in this area. We've been before the ZBA and received unanimous approval for the special permit. We did confer with staff during the ZBA process and made a number of changes in respect to comments, including conferring with Captain Tam Parvell, and it's going to be fully sprinkled. The driveway will be expanded to 26 feet for fire access. Building is also accessible from 3 sides for fire access. We did receive 2 comment letters, one from Mazer Consulting, obviously from Phil on the traffic, and one from Kellett Sessions, Joe Tremelli on the engineering. We received those sometime in February, mid-February, and we immediately went back and made some of the changes. I think most of the comments, as you've probably seen, deal with construction and technical aspects, and we did submit an updated plan set to the Margaret's office that I think was distributed both to the consultants and perhaps yourself. I mean, most of it, if I just go down a quick list, was including an existing conditions and removal plan and tree inventory, include a bulk zoning compliance table, just an exhibit for the snow storage removal, show notes on the heights of the some of the fencing, that 4-foot fencing on top of the walls that I mentioned. Probably should I expand this probably? Just to give you let's see if I can. I'm sorry. Here we go. So we gave plans on the wall on the wall area. There was a comment asking for a driveway profile, which we submitted. Did some updating on some of the water quality calculations, added a footing drain to the grading plans, a drainage swale to the grading plans. We need to confirm the design information on some of the stormwater calculations, which we'll be working with Joe on and going out and testing for the infiltration basins. As I mentioned, there was some miscommunication on our part. We didn't show the driveway widened to 26 feet throughout, but we submitted a new plan set that includes all of these, as well as a stop bar and stop sign at the junction of the driveway at Midland Avenue. One area that we are working on per Phil Greeley's memo is we're looking at the site distance. Phil raised that at the driveway connection to Midland Avenue. Again, very, very light traffic, but Phil asked us to study the site distance and provide some information. So we're doing aerials and site triangles, and we will provide that with respect to the any of the vegetation or roadside vegetation or anything else that might hinder the site distance. So I think otherwise we've responded to most of the comments that were provided, hoping that for any of the outstanding issues, they can possibly be conditions to our approval if there are any. And obviously we're anxious to proceed, and I'll leave it to your questions at this point.
Thank you. Are there any other people presenting from the application?
I think for now that pretty much summarizes it, okay, and cool. Everyone's here to answer any specific questions that you might have. Do you want me to leave this up, or?
Yeah, please leave it up in case we have any questions. Sure.
Okay.
So is the driveway, it's going to stay as is? It's the proper width right now, and it doesn't need to be?
It's going to be expanded, Mr. Chairman. It's 24 feet at the existing portion, and we're going to expand both the existing portion and the new portion, and the new one to 26 feet. That was a request of the captain for fire truck access. So
but it's as shown in this plan, though. So this plan's not going to change. The plan is showing the 26 feet.
I see. Right, and fire department has responded, obviously.
Yes, they've reviewed it.
Got it. How do they fight the fire? Is there a hydrant somewhere nearby?
They did review the plan and indicated that the applicant did not need to install a fire hydrant. They did not explain to me how they otherwise fight the fires, though. But.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of curious. There must be a hydrant somewhere. Right?
It is fully sprinkled.
Right.
Will be fully sprinkled, but Bill, do you know if there's a fire hydrant or the location? Must be.
There must be one close, because they were told that they did not require one on the proposed drive.
Yeah, I don't know of one nearby, so I don't know if Fred does, but Fred's on the phone as well.
Yeah, but there was a gym. I know we approved the gym not that many years ago, but it probably already is a number of years ago. But within the last 11 years that I've been on the board, and there's a school there as well. And the convent was occupied by a number of nuns. I did go to Immaculate Conception School many years ago, and I think I was in the convent one time when it was actually used as a convent. I would think that these are probably issues. I would be surprised if there was not a hydrant somewhere around there.
It was occupied until 2012.
Yes.
Right.
And you said that the new building would be sprinkled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, we had several meetings with the captain and consultations, so it was vetted.
Okay.
So as far as the parking spots, you said that highly functioning residents but they don't really drive. So
They don't drive, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, they don't.
right. So if they have to go to Metro North or go anywhere, they walk or get picked up and dropped off.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
And
Bus
they
stop right on Midland here.
Okay, so there's very little only traffic. Okay. And as far as the architecture of the building, that's not really part of the application, since really, I'm just asking, it can't be seen from the street. Right.
That and Mr. Chairman, it's pretty much a repurposing of it. There's not going to be a lot of new architecture.
Right. It's a beautiful building. The pictures are a little bit sad in that it's been empty for so long, but in a way it's also nice to see that it's being used for such a great purpose. So
yeah,
sisters aren't there, but the building's being used.
Is the parking the newly constructed parking to be dedicated exclusively to the use of the facility here, the Arch Care facility? Because I can see how close it is to the gym. I would think that I know it's probably easier to get to the gym from here than it would be from the upper lot. Are precautions being taken?
Yeah, we don't have a any type of restrictive covenant per se, but I'm pretty sure it is going to be dedicated. I just don't know how they're going to enforce that.
Okay.
But I know there is going to be fencing there, on top of the retaining wall, so there will be a physical divide.
Okay. Great. So we have to do a public hearing, but I think someone on the call who's also an applicant is Father Sorgi, if he would like to say anything, if he's still there.
I am here, and the only thing I would say is that it is not easier to get from those spots to the gym. You'd have to go over hill and dale. It's still easy to park in the upper lot.
Yeah.
And they will be exclusive to this use of the repurposed convent for the young people with autism. I'm excited with the chairman to see a beautiful building that was 100 years housing our sisters, now used for this underserved population. I couldn't think of a better mission to go with our many other missions at Immaculate Conception and Assumption. That's all I have to say, and I'm very proud of the team that was gathered from Arch Care to do this.
Thank you, Father.
You're welcome.
Thank you from the whole community.
Welcome.
Someone's got some background there. Okay, cool. So if there's no other comments, we'll do a public hearing and see if there's anything. So then I make a motion to open the public hearing on this application.
Jim, do we want to hear from our own consultants?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, good point. Margaret just tells me that stuff. Yeah, Joe, do you have anything?
Shall I drop the share here? Shall I leave it?
I think it's good to see, actually.
Yeah, I think Joe doesn't have anything to show.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I mean, yeah, too.
I don't think you meant that as an insult, Joe.
One of the few people, Joe, without a COVID beard.
Michael's doing a fine job of working the controls here.
Your colleague.
As Mr. Zarin already stated, he's run through majority of my memo already. I don't think we need to repeat everything that's been said. We did receive today the resubmitted plan set and revised stormwater report. Obviously, we haven't had the opportunity to go through it yet, so we would obviously need to do that. Majority of our comments were stormwater related. We'd like to witness some soil testing out there just to be sure that the soils are adequate for the proposed infiltration system. As Michael stated, some additional information on the existing system and how that works and how it'll be incorporated into the proposed system, just to ensure that we've got the level of protection that the town needs here. I think the other kind of more important component for us would be the construction of the retaining wall along the, I think it's the south side, the right side of the driveway, the longer wall there. That gets upwards of about 10 feet in height. And just behind it is a sewer main line that serves, I believe, the gym and the school. Obviously, we just want to make sure that whatever construction details and protection measures are in place to ensure that that line, remains active and isn't compromised during construction. There's some other minor details or comments that I'm sure will be easily addressed, if not already. once we have the opportunity to look at it. And then in the prior submission, although our memo didn't discuss it, it's nice to see that the widening of the driveway has been extended all the way out to Midland, as requested by the fire department. So, looking forward to reviewing the plans and continuing to work with the applicant to get through the remaining items here.
Great, thank you. Mr. Greeley?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, again, and members of the board. Just to follow up with Joe's comments, I think Mr. Zarin did a good summary of addressing the concerns that we had. The biggest item was really the site distances, and the previous plan kept the lower portion of the driveway only at 20 feet in width. So this revised plan with the 26 feet addresses our major concern. It's not a high traffic generator, so if they address the site distance, the only other item is, and this was really more of a concern when we only had a 20-foot wide driveway, is the pedestrian movements from Midland Avenue into the facility. And we understood that many of the residents here would use the public transportation, so they would be walking in the driveway. As you can see on this plan, there is no sidewalk along this area. It's not going to be a high traffic area, so the pedestrians, the residents, and anyone else here, could walk in the roadway. It was more of a concern when it was only 20 feet in width on the previous plan. But I think that's something that the board still, should consider. And at least I did not look at the lighting plan, but if there are going to be pedestrians there, and I think the 26-foot width, addresses the fire concerns, but is adequate for the amount of traffic to also handle pedestrians, but make sure that the lighting in that area is good. And the other items he's already addressed, and if they can just demonstrate the clearing for the sight lines. There is a lot of vegetation along that area, and some parking, and you have the curve, so I think they can address that. That'll be fine. And that's pretty much it.
And I think you also noted that they should put a stop sign at the end of the driveway.
That they've already added that to the plan. This revised plan does reflect that, and already.
That's great. And what you said about the lighting, I guess that should be looked at also. I'm sure we will. Okay. Thank you, Doctor. So then we'll go to the public hearing. So then I make a motion to open the public hearing on application 20-37 ICC Arch Care 265 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, I do see a hand. Mr. Forgione, I'm going to invite you to unmute yourself. When I do, please unmute your mic and identify yourself to the board. If I can find them. I no longer see him.
Yeah, he's on the list, but he does not have his hand raised any longer.
Correct.
So.
Is there anybody that wishes to address the board? Please place your hand up in the queue, and I will invite you to unmute yourself. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any hands raised, which would indicate that there's no members of the public wishing to address the board at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Tedesco.
I have a question, and it's, I'm not certain if this was in any of the materials, and that is, I know the property, the Immaculate Conception Church property, straddles the Eastchester Tuckahoe border. I think the church is entirely within Tuckahoe, and I know the Eastchester Planning Board approved the building of the gym, which I believe is entirely within Eastchester. Where does, and I would imagine some of the driveway here must be in Eastchester. The building itself, is that wholly within Eastchester, partly within Eastchester? And if so, are there considerations that we as a board, we as a town need to be discussing with our little brother Tuckahoe?
I'm going to answer that. It's fully within the town of Eastchester, and yes, if it were in the town of Tuckahoe, if it were in the village of Tuckahoe, we would have coordinated with the village of Tuckahoe. And even if the building were in the village of Tuckahoe, the zoning board would not have had the authority to grant a special permit. So we do try to ensure that the projects you evaluate are actually within the town of Eastchester.
It must be close though, because I think the church is entirely within Tuckahoe. So
the school is entirely within Eastchester, and then the church is within Tuckahoe. I'm looking at the tax parcel maps right now.
Is it really? I never knew that. That's why it's Tuckahoe address.
Okay. Well, Margaret, that was just a trick question, and you passed with flying colors.
Slightly offended, but that's okay.
No, I'm curious. I have a curious mind, and I'm sure I speak for our vast viewing audience at home.
Right, but as Margaret said, we approve applications in our town.
But we play nice with others. We play nice with others.
Okay, so we got more applications to do. So let's move on. So I don't really have anything else to say except anyone else on the board, except that Margaret notified me that there's a number of documents that we just received today that we haven't had a chance to look at nor have as a consultant. So since the board just received, I'll use the word, this is Margaret's word, a voluminous supplemental submission this morning. And since there's quite a few comments in the most recent memorandums from Joe and Phil, the board will adjourn this application to the March planning board meeting to allow the applicant to more thoroughly respond to comments and or allow board members, town staff, and town consultants to review that information.
Now, can I just say something? As we discussed, I mean, you have an option. The applicant did try to be very responsive to the comments they received by submitting the revised drawings this morning, and so you do have the option to defer to, as a condition of approval, to the most current memos from Phil Greeley and Joe Tremelli, or as you just said, kind of, allow everyone some time to review in a little more detail to tie up loose ends.
I'd like to. We have a responsibility to look at everything that's presented. So although I know it adjourns things for another month, I think our charge is to make sure we know everything that's presented. And I'd like the opportunity to do that between us and our consultants. So that being said, I make a motion to.
I agree, and I think we have a fuller application. Once we ultimately are in a position to vote on its approval. I don't think it's going to delay the process much at all.
Yes. So that being said, I make a motion to adjourn this application 20-37 ICC Arch Care to the March 25th planning board meeting.
Second.
Public hearing still open, Mr. Chairman?
It is.
Yes. Public hearing, yes.
Yes. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. Thank you, Mr. Zarin.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We'll see you in 4 weeks.
Right. Yep. Good night, Father, if you're still there. Say a prayer for us. Okay. The next application is 21-06663 White Plains Road. Who is that? I know Mr. Yanacito is on the schedule tonight.
That's okay. He's left over from the previous, so we'll take care of that.
I think we've gotten through. I think we have a total of 7, and I think we've gotten through the 3 bigger ones.
I went out of.
Okay.
Yeah, North Road, isn't it?
Yeah, I went. Are you queuing up the application I said, or?
No, I did 109 North Road.
Okay, you ignored what I said. Good.
I didn't.
So this application is 20-39109 North Road. I'm telling you, that's a statement.
Yes.
Okay. Who's up there? Ms. DeVito.
Hi, good evening, everyone, chairman and board members. Margaret, how are you? We're very happy to be here tonight. My name is Danielle DeVito, and I am principal at Pencil Projects Design Studio, and we are here tonight representing the homeowners at 109 North Road. So this is my first time here presenting in front of you tonight. So I will just take you quickly through the project, and then I'd be happy to answer any specific questions that you have. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So I'm just gonna scroll down here. Just quickly, our property is located in the R5 zoning district, and some of the goals that we tried to achieve here for the client was creating a little bit more of an open floor plan for them. The current house, the rooms are kind of small and segregated from each other, so we wanted to get a more family-friendly floor plan, a little bit more open. Goal was to maintain the 4 bedrooms that the house currently has, even though we wanted to rearrange a little bit of the first floor. Currently, there's 2 bedrooms on the first floor and 2 on the second. We also wanted to upgrade the master a little bit by providing a master bathroom and giving a suite up there, enlarging the garage, improving some of the outdoor spaces for the residents, and then upgrading overall all the materials of the home. So just quickly from a site plan perspective, we do have, we are showing Coltex back in the backyard and 2 in the front yard to take care of the impervious surface that we're adding. So just quickly going to the floor plans, you can see here, the orange indicates the areas that we're actually going to be expanding the footprint of the house. And then the gray areas are deck or porch outdoor spaces, all of which are covered. And then here on the second floor, just in the front, we are going to be expanding and providing that master suite up here. Gives us a little space to be able to get it in. These are just some images of some of the goals we're trying to achieve there in the family room area. And then moving on to the elevations, I just set up the sheets so that you could kind of get a sense of what the massing of the existing is, and then what our proposed is. And actually these diagrams help a little bit too. The orange shows where the massing is actually changing from the front perspective. So even though we're adding a front dormer here, it's actually not changing the mass from the front perspective. We're maintaining the existing ridge, so we're not changing the height of the building, of the home. And then the same thing with the garage, we're maintaining the existing ridge line. And then, you know, these are the side elevations, the rear. And then, again, these diagrams kind of help a little. The rear showing the expansion of the garage, and then the side with our front dormer, and then our covered deck here in the back. So, you know, these were just some of the images. We did include in the package pictures of all the homes within the 200-foot radius. You know, we feel really confident that the house that we have designed and proposed fits in really well with the community here and with the styles. There's pretty much a mixed style of houses, but a lot of the houses that have been improved do have that kind of front gable. And so just kind of moving on here, these are proposed renderings. This is the front of the home and the rear. Some of the materials that we're proposing are to completely redo the siding on the home with a cedar mill James Hardy shingle in a cobblestone color, a brand new timberline architectural shingle roof on the entire house in a charcoal color. And then with some accents on the house, the decking and the front door to be stained a walnut to kind of warm up those elements a little bit. The trim would be all AZAC. And then we've also shown kind of an image of the garage door. And then we are also proposing a minimalist cable rail with, small posts. And our presentation to the Architecture Review Board last month went very well. A couple of the comments that they had that we incorporated here for you guys tonight. One was elongating our deck skirt. It was a little bit short of touching to the ground, but we elongated them on all the skirts, so everything comes down to the ground. There's no gaps. We also show now all the gutters and leaders on the elevations. And also we included a railing at this rear porch. We had one only around the deck at first, but we also included it around the rear here. And these renderings aren't showing the rail that would also come down the stairs, but they are shown in those 2D elevations. There's a few windows that we would be able to keep, but the new windows would be all Anderson 400 series, and we would match the grille patterns to the existing house. Just in closing, we're very excited about the presentation. We feel that it's respectful, compliant to the zoning regulations. We're able to achieve the client's goals. They're a growing family, and it gives them a really good space to enjoy their home. We haven't changed the ridge height and tried to be mindful of the massing changes. We've been mindful of the proportion along to the house and the property itself, as well as the context of the neighborhood. And we're excited to upgrade all the materials on the home with a clean and timeless color palette. And so these are just the renderings again, and happy to answer any specific questions that the board might have.
Thank you. Well done. I think it looks beautiful. Can you just flip back to the front elevation?
Sure.
So, yeah, just leave that up so we can look. Are you gonna have a railing in the front on the front patio too?
So we are not going to have a railing at the front. The building code requires that you have a railing if the height is 30 inches above the finished grade. So here we thought that it wasn't really, we are below 30, firstly, but we also really wanted to keep it clean, not kind of clutter it up with a railing. Also, the porch is more of a decorative feature than, it's kind of a narrow porch. So it's really not much of a sitting porch. So we're not really concerned about it being a hazard. And we thought that it kind of kept it nice and clean on the front.
And that issue was raised at the ARB meeting, and the ARB members actually agreed that they liked the clean look of it. And I think with the porches at the rear of the house, for safety issues, they thought the railings were important. But at the front here, aesthetically, they liked it without the railing.
No, I agree. It's probably so shallow you can't even fit a chair on that.
Yeah, it's about 4.5 feet. But it's really more just to give some depth to the front elevation and kind of make it a little bit more interesting.
So the two,
sure
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm sure there'll be some foundation planting also around the perimeter of the house. Just to,
we took a quick stab at preparing just some idea, from landscape perspective. And we definitely want to introduce some shrubbery at the front of the deck and decorate the path a little bit with, dwarf shrubs, nothing that gets too big, 18 inches. We do plan to do some planting.
Do you have other houses adjacent to this? I don't think we saw a streetscape, but maybe you could just point out which of the houses on your. You did take pictures of everything.
Yeah, so
Yeah, there you go.
on the top here is our existing front and rear.
Right.
And so I popped us in right here. These are our two side neighbors, our left and our right. And actually our right neighbor, we look up the side of their home, more the rear actually. And these are the three houses that are across the street. So this one is directly across. And then this one is to the left of that, and this one to the right of that.
So it looks like it fits in pretty well.
I think so.
Just something unusual back to the front porch thing. Are those two distinct columns, or is that just a wider column?
They are two columns, yeah, two double columns.
Right, gives it some mass. And I do like the fact that the ARB said to show the gutters because everything looks really good. And then you put the gutters on, but the gutters sort of fade in very nicely. Okay. Any other questions, guys?
That looks very nice.
Okay. So public hearing. So I make a motion to open the public hearing on this application 20-39 109 North Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, if there are any members of the public who wish to address the board on this application, please use the raise your hand feature, and I'll invite you to unmute yourself. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any members of the board indicating they wish to address the board, members of the public who wish to address the board on this application.
Thank you. So then I make a motion to close the public hearing on application 2039 109 North Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm going to prove that. But I guess we have to give you accolades on your first appearance in front of the planning board. I think it was very well done.
Thank you.
Hope to see you again. I like all the work you do. I like the ISOs on your floor plans.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
Nice feature.
Yeah, it's very good. I've never seen that before.
Thank you.
But I think everything was well done. And any other comment? If there's no other comments, then I will make a motion to approve this application 2039 109 North Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Good
Thank
luck
you.
with it. It was great.
Yes. Have a nice evening. Queue up the next one, Margaret. 2105. So the next application is 2105 50 Lakeshore Drive.
Margaret, you're on mute.
Okay, we're all set. It's John.
Hey,
John.
Hi everyone.
And Yanacito.
Hello, John.
Welcome to 2021.
Nice to see you.
Yes, nice to see you too.
Good to see you, John.
Hi. Let me start to share the screen here. Oh, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening. My name is John Yanacito. I'm an architect and I'm representing Mr. and Mrs. Pisano, the owners of the subject property. We are proposing additions and alterations to the existing single-family residence located at 50 Lakeshore Drive. Here we have the existing plot plan showing the area that's above water, and then the area back here is underwater. I'm going to zoom into the proposed site plan. So the scope of work will include a one-story addition along the side and rear, which is highlighted here in red. We're also proposing a new patio deck area at the rear, which will be partially covered in this corner. We are proposing to remove the entire roof of the existing residence and reconfigure the roof line. And then we're also proposing site alterations, including relocating the driveway from the side of the house to the front and reconfiguring the walkways at the front, the side, and the rear of the property. So here we go. Let me So here we have the existing front elevation and right side elevation. And then this is the proposed. So here's the new garage facing the front of the house, the reconfigured roof with the 4 gables, and then the entrance with a new archway. The entrance basically stays in primarily the same location where it is today. And we're adding a small porch and an arch over the entrance. On the right side, the reconfigured roof, and then the addition at the rear will be constructed over columns to create a covered patio at the lower level. Here we have the rear and the left side existing elevation, and the proposed. So the revised or the reconfigured roof line with 3 gables. This up here is the new terrace patio area where half of it will be covered. And then below, the addition will be built on over columns and provide a covered patio at the lower level. On the left side, the reconfigured roof, the overhead door got moved from the side to the front. And then there would be steps down the side yard to lead to the rear yard. Okay, so let me go to the rendering. Stop share and then share again. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yes.
So here's a rendering of the front facade showing the finished materials. So the proposed materials will be, for the wall surfaces, will be a cedar shingle in a worldly gray finish. We're also proposing a brick line along the base at the front, which will be painted white. The brick will match existing, which is on the side and the rear of the property currently, and that it's all going to get painted white. And then we're proposing a stone veneer at the entry porch, which will be a Delgado stone in a Liberty Hill finish. The roof surface will be asphalt shingles in a charcoal finish. All the windows will be vinyl clad Anderson 400 series. The trim boards will all be painted AZEK. The railings at the rear will be a composite railing in a white finish. The gutters and leaders will be aluminum in a white finish. And the front door and overhead door will be fiberglass in a white finish. So I'll go back to the PDFs here. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
All right, so here it is, the samples. So here's the sample of the cedar shingles, which will be in a worldly gray finish. The roof shingles in a charcoal finish. Delgado stone, it will be the Liberty Hill in the strip pattern and texture. Anderson 400 series, these are shown black, but our windows will be white. The AZEK trim in a white finish. Composite railings at the rear. And the overhead doors in this style, but in a white finish. The application was presented to the Architectural Review Board on February 4th. And they had one recommendation, and that was to specify the pattern and texture of the stone at the front entrance, and that'll be the Liberty Hill in the strip pattern and that texture.
That's what's shown on your rendering, right?
Yeah, it's similar. In the rendering, let's see, let me stop sharing and share screen again. Yeah, it's something.
Maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, not completely similar, but close.
Close enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically it. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Looks terrific. Yeah.
Thank you.
Another fine piece of work.
It's going to be a major transformation from the existing.
Yeah.
The existing right now is all roof. When you look at the existing house.
Yeah, I like the four gables in the front. It gives it some nice interest.
So, John, when you put up your drawings, you don't appreciate it until you see the rendering. I mean, the drawings. Yeah, I think maybe you should start with the rendering, just because in the drawings, the drawings are.
Stop there. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the line type. I think is just too heavy. It just looks. Like,
yeah, I think those are like the beginnings of the construction documents. So.
Oh yeah.
I can add some more colors to my
yeah, it's
my construction.
I didn't know. I thought you lost your edge, and when I saw this, I'm like, I'm okay.
The one before me, she had a lot of samples on all her pages.
Yeah, I think we went easy on her. Usually we give.
Anyway. That's the new generation. We'll leave that to the new generation.
Oh.
Yeah, it's sort of cool. Anyway, I don't have any more comments unless you guys do.
No, it's very nice.
Cool. So then I'm going to open the public hearing. I make a motion to open the public hearing on this application, 2105 50 Lakeshore.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any members of the public who wish to address the board on this application? Please use the raise your hand feature. Mr. Chairman, there does not appear to be any members of the public who wish to address the board on this application.
Thank you. So then I make a motion to close the application, close the public hearing on application 2105 50 Lakeshore Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No other comments?
John, what one other question I had for you, and I know this is probably in some of the materials, but remind me, what is the existing square footage and what is the proposed of the building?
I can tell you.
Yes,
2094 going to 3897.
Okay.
So it's increasing by 1,785 square feet.
Close to doubling. Yeah. So that's okay.
So as far as remediating that's on your site plan?
It's on the site plan. That's I think this sheet is SP1 or A1.
Yeah.
You want me to show that sheet?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You know what? It's going from 1785 to 3897, so it's increasing by 2,094.
This is more than doubling.
Yes.
So it's so right here, 1785 to 3897. 2,112 square feet of new floor space.
Oh.
Right.
It's I gotta say for that proportion of an enlargement, you've maintained the character, I guess, of it. It's quite nice. I really have no complaints.
We looked at another version where it wasn't as wide and went taller. It just didn't work right. So we decided to keep it at that 1.5 story height, and it just seemed better for that.
Yeah, the dimensions look good on it. It doesn't. You put a lot more house in there without necessarily making it look as such in the front.
Yeah.
So the additional impervious is going to those Coltex in the back there?
Yeah, so we have 3 there, and we'll elaborate on that for the construction documents.
Okay.
But I think 3, the calculations, I think we're at 2.9 based on the calculations. So 3 dry wells.
Okay. So then let's keep going. I make a motion to approve application 2105 50 Lakeshore Drive.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Yanacito.
Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.
Yep. Thank you. You too.
Hey, Lou, nice job on that Main Street project.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Very good. Take care,
Good
guys.
job yourself.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Next application is 21-06 663 White Plains Road.
There's a demo.
Okay. All right. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Alrighty. Good evening, board members, chairman. My name is Adamo Majorano from Community Designs and Engineering. On behalf of the applicant and owner, Shakif Tafa, we are proposing a new single-family dwelling at 663 White Plains Road. This application was before you back in 2018. For unforeseen reasons, the applicant wasn't able to start construction. So again, he's trying to do so now, and we're back before you requesting approval for basically the same condition and same proposal. Nothing has changed in the single family dwelling other than we will in fact update the stormwater management. So when it was approved back in 2018, it was a 50-year storm, basically a 7.5-inch rainfall event. So we're going to update that to the 100-year storm, the 8.6 rainfall event. So only really thing that'll change is probably a dry well or two. We do oversize it for future clogging, but we will in fact look into that and update that accordingly. I'm going to share my screen.
Adamo, are you telling us that the facility, the building itself, is something that and excuse me if I don't remember all the details from 2018, but is this effectively what you showed us 3 years ago?
Exactly.
And it just being because you had to go through the process again because of the passage of time. You're showing us the same thing that we approved 3 years ago.
Pretty much it. Yes.
Okay.
I know it's been a long meeting and a late night, so I'll try to make it short and sweet again, because you kind of.
Mark and Jim and I will grab a snack, and Lewis can watch carefully.
Oh yes, well yes. I guess Lewis hasn't seen it before, so I'll run through it for him. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to it's an R5 zoning district. We're going to introduce a new curb cut on the right-hand side. It's a 2-car attached garage to the dwelling, and also a little turnaround area. Again, this is a White Plains Road, so it's a busy street, so make it a little safer condition. They could try to turn around in that driveway and then drive out onto the road. The new condensers are located in the rear. They're screened with evergreen screening. It's basically an empty, vacant lot. We're going to introduce new landscaping as well. Just to go through the elevation materials, quite, some straightforward. The materials and the design aesthetics are more owner specific. There's a stone veneer on the front, along with stucco siding on the sides and the rear. Anderson 400 series windows, architectural shingle roof. It's a charcoal color. The portico and roof, top over the garage, that's a PVC railing. The other railings on that side, low covered platform is just metal roofing, AZAC corbels and AZAC white AZAC fascia and soffits, along with white gutters. Let's take a look at the streetscape. This had dwelling on the right is, I'll just go down to the pictures real quick, but 665 White Plains Road. Again, we're smack dab in the middle, 660. And then the house on the left is a side elevation of 2 Hillendale, because that's a street that intersects into White Plains Road. Again, the characteristics and design of the home is sort of owner specific, but it does tie into those neighboring homes. They share similar sort of stucco and brick and those kind of characteristic finishes. Pretty much to our proposed project. And again, you can see some of the pictures of the lot. I'm sure you drove by a bunch of times. It's just a vacant lot right across from a lake aisle. What's going on with my mouse? So I'll just scroll quickly to materials. Again, I'm sure you all have seen just the AZAC trim, the asphalt roof, and a picture of what going on with the New England square and rectangle cut stone on the front facade. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Any questions?
So it went to the ARB and they did not have comments. Similar to
Yeah,
Okay.
No comments. They had comments on the original one, some little updates to the roof above the garage, and we did that. But other than
Right, but
for this one, nothing.
no new comments to make your life.
No new comments. Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so I don't have any comments either then.
Yep.
Like the then, I
That's
like
fair.
it now. Oh, Louis, sorry. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, no comments here. Looks great. Good job.
There's a landscape plan.
Oh yes. Let me see if I could. Can you see that?
Yep. Got it.
Okay. Yeah. So the landscape prepared by Tony Acasella. Pretty straightforward landscape.
Okay.
We're going to hedge the sides and some new trees on the left-hand side. Pretty typical. Again, that'll have to be signed off at the end of the project when the house is done.
So, and
could finalize that.
I know we have our, I think for this house, you would still have your two typical conditions of approval. One is with regard to the landscape plan. And I do want our engineer to look at the stormwater management plan again, because I think some of our requirements have changed since the original approval. And unfortunately for the applicant, I think they have to design for a 100-year storm now. But so we'll just have the typical conditions with regard to final approval of the stormwater management plan by our engineering consultant and the sign off on the landscape architect with the landscape plan.
Sure.
Margaret, when did that requirement change from the 50-year to the 100-year?
Around that time. I'm not sure specifically, but it was around that time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only for new construction. Additions
Yes.
and alterations, it's 50-year storm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, it's still 100 years storm, but the actual calculation of the rainfall event is not dramatically different.
Yeah.
Compared to what, if it went from an addition to a new house, yes, that would be a big difference. But
So if there's no more comments from us, let's do the public hearing. So then I make a motion to open the public hearing on this application, 21-06663 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If there are any members of the public that wish to address the board, please use the raise your hand feature. Mr. Chairman, it appears that there are no members of the public who wish to address the board on this application.
Great, thank you. So I make a motion to close the public hearing on 21-06663 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So then, subject to the two conditions Margaret put for us before about the stormwater management and about the landscape, I make a motion to approve this public hearing, to approve this application 21-06663 White Plains Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you,
Good.
Adama.
Good luck.
thank you guys.
All right, thanks,
Appreciate it.
Adama.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yes.
Right, we don't want to
Thank
see you back here with this application again.
Perfect. Yeah, I hope so too. I don't want to come back with it. Yeah.
Build the damn thing.
Very true. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
So then,
Thank you.
okay. Last application, guys, is 20-42 10 Ridge Street.
Yes. Hi again. It's
Oh,
Louis
yeah.
Campana. Trying to keep my eyes open at this point.
He's a Trojan horse, I tell you.
Oh boy. So I'm gonna share my my screen here. So again, Louis Campana, architect, for the applicant Matthew Forgione, for additions and alterations to an existing dwelling on 10 Ridge Street. The existing, or I should say the site, which is 13,500 square feet, is situated within the R5 zone. So it is an oversized site. And the home is currently non-conforming in terms of the front yard setback. It actually goes beyond the front yard setback by 5 feet. You can see here that this is the existing plan here. The property fronts Prospect with a driveway that goes to an accessory garage. And then the dwelling fronts Ridge Street with the driveway and walkways to and this would be the dwelling that we'd be renovating. What you will notice also is that the existing asphalt driveway here is oversized. It actually encroaches on the minimum buffer of 3 feet. And keeping that in mind, what we plan to do is remove a portion of that driveway to create proper buffer and potential landscaping hedging at this rear property line. The addition is primarily an addition to the second floor. The first floor will be renovated to create more of an open floor plan for better circulation and modern lifestyle. And then in order to avoid a variance, what we've done is we've taken the second floor, the new second floor and the new roof, and we've shifted it back. And the back portion of the addition will land on columns, creating a covered porch and a new patio towards the rear. I'll go to, these are the existing elevations of the dwelling here. And I'll show you some photos. It may be easier to sort of see what it looks like. So these photos here are of the existing dwelling. It does have this stone veneer, which will be actually removed. It has replacement windows, a tan asphalt roof, and vinyl siding. The front portico, as you can see, there's a flat roof and these very slender columns, which we'll be removing as well. This is the side of the house facing north. Here's the rear of the home. And this is the southern side facade. Go back to the drawings quickly. So here are the floor plans, just to show you exactly what we're doing. The first floor, which is right here, we're creating an open floor plan along the rear of the house for the kitchen family room, opening that up to the living room. And what we will be doing is adding an addition towards the rear here for a banquette, and then a new front portico and a box bay along the front. These columns will be supporting the new second floor, which is shifted back over towards the rear of the house. I'll show you that right here on the second floor. You can see that this is the front portico below. We have the roof line, which comes down to this portion right here. And then if you look closely, you see this dashed line. This dashed line indicates the first floor below. So, and the columns would be situated directly beneath this exterior wall. Here's the front elevation. So I'm gonna zoom in so you can see a little bit better. So in terms of the materials, we're going to be using a GAF Timberline asphalt roof in charcoal color. The siding is going to be a hardy plank siding in a white. All of the exterior trim and the window cap will be AZAC painted white, and then white Anderson double hung windows. Here's a new portico. So the rake cornice beam and the columns will all be PVC painted white, and then the front door would be a mahogany door painted in a Farrow ball off black. The stone veneer, like I said, would be taken off of the front of the house and used in other portions of the house. So we're going to repurpose the stone veneer at the rear porch. I'll show you that in a minute. Here's the box bay. This will be clad with PVC panels. Here are recessed, flat recessed panels with a square bed molding. The base of the foundation will be a white stucco, and then we'll be incorporating new iron railings on the front porch and steps. Now, because we, excuse me, because we are raising the ridge height, we have to also raise the chimney as well. So that chimney is currently brick, and we're going to be matching that and extending it up to meet the minimum requirements of 10 foot, 2 foot. The new flashing will be 16-ounce copper flashing, wherever the roof connects with the chimney. And then here's a window well, and the window well is here because we are justifying the second floor back. right? And you can see how the roof comes up and sort of bites the corner here. The surface of the window well, which is slightly pitched towards the front of the house, will be 16-ounce copper. And then we have white carriage house garage door here, where currently, I'm not sure if you saw it or not, but there's actually a double door, a double door located here. Let me see if I can just show you. You're gonna laugh at it. Hold on. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So it was infilled with a double door for people to access. So we're gaining back off-street parking by doing so. We'll go back to the drawing. Here is the side elevation facing north. You can see the front portico here and the railing as it recedes down the stairs. Series of windows with this cornice, which goes the distance of the side of the house and then creates that covered area, which is then supported by these columns on top of a new masonry platform. This is the side of the banquette. It's going to be finished in similar fashion to the front box bay. I want to carry those same details around. The rake boards will all be AZAC painted white, and the same thing with the eaves as well. Here's the rear. Sliding doors going into the family room area. The back side of the banquette, a series of columns. And then this gable is over the master bedroom, and we plan to raise the ceiling in the master bedroom to just create more of a grandeur feel. This is the south elevation, similar to the north elevation. Again, you can see the banquette here, all of the same materials, siding, trim, and again the brick chimney, which will be extended upward. And that's it. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Oh, it's quite a transformation.
Yeah.
It's really good.
We were at the ARB last month. They did not have any comments. One question that they did have was the asymmetry at the front. And the reason for the asymmetry, as you can see here, the portico is justified over to the left. And that's basically because of the proximity of the retaining wall and the driveway surface. But what I wanted to do to create balance was to center the windows on the second floor over the first floor. And also because there was more space on the right portion of the house here, I wanted to create that projection with the box bay to create the balance that it was lacking.
Yeah, and you have a number of smaller windows on each of the sides of the house that seem to work. It's it obviously this is and a lot of this, as you said, has to do with the property. It's not a perfectly symmetrical house, nor are you trying to make it such. But what you are doing is carrying features that connect the whole property, and I think it seems to be very well conceived and designed.
Thank you.
The setback on the second floor is that does that line up with where the you said it's non-conforming in the front because it's 5 feet further than it should be to the property line? Is that 5 feet at sort of where that setback is?
That's correct. So this is the furthest we can come with that second floor to avoid a variance.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There it is again.
It's a very unusual property. It's a kind of an inverted L.
in one of the pictures you took, it was like from underneath a tree. Where's that tree?
Oh, where's the tree on the site?
Yeah, where is it, and where would it be in relation to this?
So it's sort of back. It's back on this side. It's if you look at this elevation, it's like right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
But for now, the tree stays.
The
big tree. I
it's
saw
on the side of the house, I believe. Let me see
Yeah.
here.
I don't know how large it was.
It's on the side here, so we wouldn't be affecting. I mean, it would certainly
Right.
get pruned, but because of the new massing, yeah.
But
it would be
that's probably not in jeopardy, right?
Yeah, and Louis, you said in the back there's a like an auxiliary driveway that you're slimming to give yourself a buffer. But there's also there's a building back there as well. Is that sort of a secondary garage as well?
So it's an accessory. Yes, it's an accessory garage. That will be kept as is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you could say the house currently. I mean, the existing conditions, I believe, are non-conforming based on the impervious coverage. So that's part of the reason why we're also reducing the impervious coverage here. So we're actually there's a net decrease on impervious coverage on the entire property.
But I like the idea of the buffer that you created. Seems like it will.
Yeah, I mean, right.
help the
I mean,
project.
right now it's used. It's used for storage of, construction equipment. So, and that's right up against the property line. So I wanted to create that buffer, and potentially the owner would be adding landscaping along this property line.
I see.
The owner's father is a Forgione, as you can imagine. So they'll be doing plenty of landscaping here.
Right. Okay. I don't have any other comments, so let's do the public hearing. So I make a motion to open the public hearing on application 20-42, 10 Ridge Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If there are members of the public that wish to address the board on this application, please raise your hand. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I don't see any members of the public who wish to address the board on this application.
So I make a motion to close the public hearing on application 20-42, 10 Ridge Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so that's it. So then nice job, Louis. You do nice work. We appreciate it. But it's getting late, so I'm just going to make a motion to approve application 20-42, 10 Ridge Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Nice job, Louis.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Louis.
Done.
Thanks, guys. So
Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, everyone. Good night.
Oh, wow.
It's a long one.
We almost
it's
got done
long.
before 10, but not
Yeah, I
quite.
know. It's like 10:01. So I make a motion. Good night, guys. So I make a motion to close the Town of Eastchester Planning Board meeting of Thursday, February 25th, 2021 at
Second.
10:01. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
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 Good night, guys.
I'll see you guys in 4
All
weeks,
right.
all right?
Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Welcome. Good night, Margaret. Thank you.
Good night.